Everyone, this is Armstrong Williams on the right side. Armstrong. Don't curse, speak English. Armstrong. Virtuous society. Armstrong. I dare you to listen. Hey, turn it up. Hey. Armstrong. Get on the right side. Armstrong. Elevate your mind. Armstrong. I'm Armstrong Williams on the right side. Armstrong. Hey, yo, man, it's your boy K.O. And you're tuned in to the most conservative of our brothers. Armstrong. The Armstrong Williams Show. Please give me a break. Grow up.
You know, because of what's going on in the world today, normally on Friday, we pre-record the show earlier, and I'm not live. But tonight, we're live because we're so honored to have one of the most celebrated authors in the world, who is an expert on the oil dependency and these soaring oil prices. He's an expert on the crises that face the Middle East, and he's written this incredible book, IBM and the Holocaust. It is a book by investigative journalist Edwin Black, which details the business dealings of the American-based multinational corporation International Business Machines and its German and other European subsidiaries with the government Adolf Hitler during the 1930s and the years of World War II. In the book, Edwin Black outlines the way in which IBM's technology helped facilitate Nazi genocide against the Jewish people through generation and tabulation of punch cards based upon national census data. Author, celebrity, prolific writer, philanthropist, world traveler, activist, Edwin Black, welcome to the broadcast. We're live in our nation's capital.
Thank you so much for having me.
Talk to, before we get to the book, I want to get to that. Talk to and tell our audience why these, and we're also streaming live at www.livestream.com/Armstrong Williams. Explain to our audience why these gasoline and oil prices continue to soar, and how much is it being impacted by the fact that the president has abandoned the Keystone pipeline? Is that having an impact on these soaring prices that we're witnessing?
Okay, that's a great question. And the reason it's great is because it's being asked every hour of every day on every part of the media and being answered incorrectly. Now, let's first address what is not a factor. The weather is not a factor. They say the warm weather is a factor. The warm weather would affect home heating oil, and I guess a case could be made while they're producing less, they're diverting less oil for home heating, but really that's a separate stream. The case could be, there are people who are saying, is it the Keystone Pipeline? Keystone Pipeline has nothing to do with today's prices. That would be a way to bring more Canadian oil from the oil sands of Alberta into the United States, but that would take years to produce. So that has nothing to do with today's with today's problem. Is a matter of supply and demand. Always remember this: there is no law of supply and demand in the oil business. They can generate, they can manipulate the supply, and they can manipulate the demand. They've been manipulating the supply since Rockefeller perfected this criminal art back in the 19th century by realizing that you could manipulate the price of oil by keeping it scarce and running it through various subsidiaries. When you supply oil, you can make it more expensive and reduce demand in so doing. So genuine supply and demand is irrelevant. We are seeing a manipulated oil market and a manipulated oil supply because right now people can't even afford to buy the oil that they really need. And they're needing a lot less. People are driving less now than they were years ago. So it's really not a matter of oversupply. The oil producers usually keep about a 500,000 barrel cushion on any given day. That means that they can reduce or increase oil as they need it. Now the question is: it the Obama policy of restricting drilling And is it the Democratic policy of not going into Alaska, protected areas? That is not the issue. Because, first of all, it would take 5 to 10 years to bring us the first barrel of oil from any of these new projects. Some of these new projects, like in the Bakken Formation, which have tremendous yield, still would require 99% inefficiency just to get 1% of the oil out of the rock formations on angular and diagonal drilling. The real problem that we see today is that we have kept ourselves vulnerable. We have steadily crept out onto the limb. And when the winds blow, the limb shakes. And so when the sands of the Middle East are blowing, we feel it. Why? Because we've been kept vulnerable for 100 years. Because as you know from my previous book, Internal Combustion, the electric car was invented in 1835. The hydrogen fuel cell was invented in 1838. All the cars in the United States were electric in the 19th century. And the first so-called hybrid was really sometime before 1901. So it took a long, steady progress to falsely addict us to oil, but that's exactly what was done. Now, we had many, many opportunities to get off of oil, and that was not done. Now, the current administration, looking at it not politically but historically, the current administration kept us vulnerable. Now, why do you say that? Why did I say that? Because it missed every opportunity to get us off of oil. What are the things that it did? First, we had a nightmare cash for clunkers program. The Cash for Clunkers program, which is something that I proposed originally in my book, The Plan, How to Rescue Society the Day the Oil Stops, was to take gas guzzlers off the road and replace them with alternative fuel vehicles. What did they do? They took gas guzzlers off the road that were getting like 10, 11, 12, 13 miles per gallon, and they replaced them with unsold inventory of cars that got 1 to 2 to 3 miles more per gallon, thereby damning an entire generation of our children to be addicted to oil, because the average scrappage rate, meaning how long does a car live on an automobile, is between 9 and 11 years. So every car that was salvaged from unsold inventory of the gas guzzlers through the Cash for Clunkers program damned our sons and daughters over the next decade to be addicted to oil. What they could have done, but did not do, was they could have allowed this program to pay for electric cars, hydrogen cars, natural gas vehicles, methanol, etc. That was not done, and that was not done consciously. What's another thing that failed to be done? Well, the open fuel standard. The open fuel standard, proposed by a number of people that I know, would allow any flammable substance to go through the pipeline of a car. So it doesn't have to be gasoline. I mean, airplanes fly on kerosene. They're called aviation fuel. It's just kerosene. It wouldn't have to be gasoline. It could be methanol. It could be various types of ethanol. It could be various types of trash to gas formulations, biofuels of various kinds, algae. It didn't do that. Congress didn't do that. And remember, this is not something that Obama did by himself. He didn't kill the open fuel standard by himself. A Congress had to do that. And they looked the American people in the eye, and they said, we're doing something for the environment, we're doing green, we're increasing mileage, et cetera, and in the process, they actually did the opposite. The worst thing that we can have is a better mileage automobile. Why do I say that? Because that puts the focus on creating a CAFE standard, which is the combined automobile fuel. And the CAFE standard means that you can have a fleet of Hondas that get really lousy mileage, like the Pilot, which gets 16 miles per gallon, and then you could have a vehicle called the GX, which is a natural gas car. You average them; it is the cleanest car in America, so-called. You average them together, and you increase your average fleet mileage. But in the process, you make it that Honda rigged the market so no one could buy the natural gas car that it made.
Do you think the government was aware of this?
Of course they were aware of it. They're absolutely aware of it, because even though I'm talking to you and your listeners are listening to this radio show, I am part of an army of well-connected, well-established experts who have been talking about this for a long time. This is not me in a basement talking to you about some obscure detail. There are entire legions of experts who are screaming from the sidelines that we're doing things wrong. They're lobbying, they're working with candidates, they've got task forces, they've got conventions, they've got conferences, there are white papers.
You're listening
There's an entire establishment trying to talk about fuel sense.
Our guest, Edwin Black, IBM and the Holocaust. We're talking about fuel dependency. I'm Armstrong Williams. Our phone lines are open. We're live on this live broadcast on AM 730 WTMT. We'll be...
For more information on the Armstrong Williams Show, please visit our new website at www.rightsidewire.com. There you can find his syndicated column archive, view live streams, and get your favorite conservative pundits' views on the current issues affecting the American people. From building wealth to foreign policy, stay connected with Armstrong Williams and his colleagues at the all-new www.rightsidewire.com.
Anderson Brothers Bank, a family-owned and operated establishment that blends traditional personal service, local market awareness, and advanced technology to meet the financial needs of its customers. Visit abbank.com or call 843-464-6271 to see how they can assist you with your banking needs. Anderson Brothers Bank, celebrating 75 years of community banking, the way it should be. Stability right in your backyard since 1933.
Hello, my name is Ron Moulton. I'm running as a Republican for the City Council in the nation's capital, a political arena dominated by the Democratic Party. I'm seeking office in Ward 7, overwhelmed by unemployment and poverty. For the first time in decades, we have an opportunity to be elected as the people that need the representation the most are now responding to the principles that will uplift them. For more information about my values and to donate, please visit www.ronmoulton.com.
Most Americans simply have never been taught the basics of money management, let alone how to secure their financial future. But there is hope. Financial Education and Literacy Advisors, also known as FELA, does what others don't. FELA teaches financial education. If you'd like more information about providing a financial wellness program for your employees, or a credit-bearing college course in personal finance, or other valuable programs, please visit myfela.com. That's myfela.com, or send an email to info@myfela.com.
Hi, this is Armstrong Williams with an opportunity to own a piece of paradise in Nassau, Bahamas. Spectacular land prices, 8,000 square feet, 20,000 square feet lot, affordable prices, hilltop properties with views of the magnificent sea. Just call 242-677-3120 or 3121 or go to info@rightsidewire.com and leave your information.
Where heads of state, sports, entertainment, and political celebrities meet. You're listening to Armstrong Williams.
What do you make of Edwin Black as our guest? He wrote the book Internal Combustion, Dependency on Oil, and now his latest phenomenal book, which we're going to talk about later in the show, IBM and the Holocaust. talk to us about Israel threatening to attack Iran. The Iran wants to burn and execute someone from converting from Muslim to Christianity. There's this drumbeat for war in the Middle East. The situation with Turkey in the Middle East. It just seems like everything is just springing loose, and the Chinese and the Russians continue to support the Iranians. The Russians send a warning to the Israelis. Well, what happens if they were to attack the Iranians? What do we make of this?
So there was a lot of questions there, and they're all important. Which one do you want answered first?
It's on you, my brother.
Okay. Let's first talk about what's going on in Iran. Iran is not only a bifurcated society, it is multi-strata. You've got a youth movement there, you've got a business class there, and they are being controlled and dominated by the mullah class, by the Shiite extremists who are running the country as a theocracy. Because it is a death sentence to convert or abandon Islam when you are born into Islam, they are threatening to execute a pastor who has converted to Christianity. And that is commonplace in the Muslim world going back some 1,400 years. So let's talk now about the threat against Israel and Israel's threat to bomb Iran. Threatening to bomb Iran. The Iranians are developing a nuclear weapon. They are developing a delivery system. Now, when I talk about that, what am I talking about? Well, normally when you have a production line to develop a nuclear weapon, you develop stage 1 first, stage 2 second, third, fourth. You get your nuclear enrichment. You get your spheroidization of the warhead. It's got to be made small. You've got to be able to trigger it with multiple millisecond triggers. You've got to do all these different things, and they have been traditionally done one at a time. And that is why it could take 5 to 10 years to do that. What the Iranians are doing is they've got a circle of production. And so everybody is developing everything simultaneously. The missile technology was originally financed by American petrodollars, which went over to Pakistan, to A.Q. Khan, who sent it up to North Korea, and from North Korea, the Nodong 1 and Nodong 2 became the Shahab 1 and the Shahab 2. Now the Iranians have got their own missile technology, and they're getting their guidance systems going. The trigger mechanisms are being done simultaneously, and they're experimenting with multiple millisecond and nanosecond and other types of hyperspeed triggering mechanisms, because when you create the chain reaction of a nuclear bomb, it must be precise, or it will not result in the type of explosion that is generally desired. Further, they are getting into enrichment. Now, enrichment, what does it mean? Well, it takes about 96 or 97 or 98% enrichment, some say 99%, to get it up to weapons grade. Now, why is that? Well, that's because we traditionally think of a nuclear warhead sitting in a nose cone of a missile. But if you don't run it in a missile, and you don't have to compact it into highly enriched uranium, what you can do is you can easily make a nuclear bomb at 20%, the size of a VW bus, put it in a truck, put it in a seagoing vessel, and have it explode anywhere in the Mediterranean, anywhere along the Lebanese border, anywhere along the West Bank. So these things are possible. The enrichment is going on a constant basis. The enrichment is was at 6%. Now it's up to 20%. No one needs a 20% enrichment to create medical isotopes. No one needs a 20% enrichment to create utilities, to run electrical switches, and to power hair dryers. So this is slowly getting into weapons grade. Now, I am currently looking at the latest intelligence while I'm speaking to you. And the latest intelligence talks about the fact, for example, that there are some 52 cascades, that's arrays of centrifuges, which are the most modern ones. And as of February 19th, there were 54 of these installed in 3 different groupings in 8 sections of something called Production Hall A. And they're loaded with UF6. And they've got 164 after that, and they keep adding these centrifuges. When the old ones die out because they're worn out, they replace them with the more modern ones. Now, Israel tried to stop these guys with assassination, with interception of manufacturing processes. So they started to get bad equipment. They put computer viruses in there. All that can do is really delay them, especially when they go underground. Why is underground such an obvious thing? Because the president of the Iranian Tunnel Association is now the president of the country, Ahmadinejad.
Explain for those of you that are just joining us. Edwin Black is joining us. We're live here talking about the crisis in the Middle East. We're going to talk about his book, IBM and the Holocaust. Explain the significance of the gentleman being elevated to that position.
Well, the president of Iran is not only apocalyptic and he's a 12er, which means he believes in the 12th Imam, and he believes that it's okay to bring the apocalypse, the Judgment Day, by destroying the Jews, which is even something that I wrote in my book, The Farhud, where in 1937 the king of Saudi Arabia told the British Foreign Ministry that no Jew will be allowed into heaven unless no Muslim will be allowed into heaven unless he kills a Jew. That is a famous verse within the Quran. This same apocalyptic man is also a tunnel expert. He's an expert in underground warfare. He's an expert at tunneling deep into the mountains, and that is what he's done. Eventually, when they tunnel so far deep into the mountains that they will have their operation in a, quote, zone of immunity, like the Koreans have achieved, it will be impossible to stop them. And once they are beyond the zone of immunity or in the zone of immunity, they can decide to arm their weapons, weaponize their nuclear material, get their delivery systems going when they choose. Now, many people say, well, but why would they kill so many Arabs in the process? Because any nuclear blast would not discriminate. Ayatollah Khomeini's advisors have already issued analyses that showed that just three missiles aimed at Haifa, Tel Aviv, and another city center would kill off some 67% of the Jewish population in Israel. They've already got this figured out. They're already looking at the radiation. They're already calculating the bomb blast. and the fact that they would kill many Muslims who live in Israel, either Christian Muslims, either Christian Arabs or Muslims, either on the West Bank or in Jaffa or in the north or in Bethlehem. That doesn't mean anything, because anyone who looks at the news knows that every day, every hour, Muslims are killing other Muslims for religious reasons. Whether that's
so,
in
are you
Afghanistan.
saying to us that he's building these nuclear weaponry to bring about the apocalypse?
Of course. And that, in other words, he's not looking to liberate Palestine. He's looking to deliver the world into his vision of the apocalypse. And his vision of the apocalypse would mean destroying Israel and the Jewish people per his view of the Quran.
And while at it, try to destroy America in the process.
Well, the way it would work, it would be Friday first. It would be Saturday first and Sunday second. So first you get rid of the Jews, and then you get rid of everybody else. The Jews first and everybody else second. This was Hitler's view. This is Ahmadinejad's view. This is the Quranic view by those who desire to follow that. And they've already got long-range missiles that would reach the United States or would reach American installations. Remember.
Hold that point. We're going to come back to that. Edwin Black is our guest. Internal Combustion, the Fahoud. His new book, IBM and the Holocaust, All Dependency. We'll be back.
For more information on the Armstrong-Williams Show, please visit our new website at www.rightsidewire.com. There you can find his syndicated column archive, view live streams, and get your favorite conservative pundits' views on the current issues affecting the American people. From building wealth to foreign policy, stay connected with Armstrong-Williams and his colleagues at the all-new www.rightsidewire.com.
Join the millions of Americans who pursue one of our country's finest traditions, from hunting to sports shooting. Since 1871, the NRA has grown as a service organization involved in all aspects of shooting sports and is a proud defender of the Bill of Rights. Join today to begin taking advantage of exclusive membership offers and discounts, including up to $25,000 in insurance coverage. Contact the NRA today. Call 1-800-672-3888 or visit nra.org.
Elder Chicks is an exciting part of the fastest growing segment of the population. Women in their 70s, 80s, and older who are mastering the art of a senior life. We're no longer unseen and unheard. We're providing role models for each other and the baby boomers who are fast approaching retirement. Join our virtual community. Hit www.elderchicks.com on your computer keyboard.
Most Americans simply have never been taught the basics of money management, let alone how to secure their financial future. But there is hope. Financial Education and Literacy Advisors, also known as FELA, does what others don't. FELA teaches financial education. If you'd like more information about providing a financial wellness program for your employees, or a credit-bearing college course in personal finance, or other valuable programs, please visit myfela.com. That's myfela.com, or send an email to info@myfela.com.
Travelers along the road of life who have fallen asleep at the wheel, to the many who woke up in time to avert disaster and get back on the righteous path. For the ones who crashed and survived and now adhere vigilantly to a virtuous and righteous path. Finally, Armstrong-Williams' much-anticipated new book, Reawakening Virtues, gives his insights into these daily challenges and much more. Reawakening Virtues is available in bookstores and at Amazon.com.
Where heads of state, sports, entertainment, and political celebrities meet. You're listening to Armstrong-Williams.
So Israel destroyed them on a Saturday, the United States and the rest of the world on a Sunday. Continue, Edwin.
Well, I'm not saying one day after the next, but first they'll go after the Saturday worshipers and then the Sunday worshipers, and then there'll be no one left but the
Can
Friday
Israel
worshipers.
stop them?
Well, let me go on a little further to what we were talking about. I'm going to give you a perfect example here. Now, this underground enrichment plant that they hid from the International Energy Agency is located at Fordow. It's a F-O-R-D-O, Fordo, or sometimes with a W. It's near Qum. Now, in October 2009, just after they revealed it, it was a secret facility, they said that it was just for the production of UF6. Now, UF6 is also known as uranium hexafluoride, and uranium hexafluoride is for nuclear weapons. It can be used for nuclear reactors at low levels, and that is why they said in October 2009 that they're enriching U-235 to 5% with 16 cascades with approximately 3,000 centrifuges. A year later, they modified that response to say that they were now enriching this UF6 up to 5% U-235. I know I'm getting technical, but bear with me. Just 8 months later, in last June 2011, they admitted that they're going up to 20%. Okay?
And for those of you that are just joining us, you're listening to Edwin Blight. He's talking about the crisis in the Middle East, the possible strike of Israel on Iran, Iran building a nuclear arsenal, and he's just explaining it to us in great detail, the progression they've made and the possible scenarios that we could face. Continue, Edwin.
So, in other words, every day that they can stall by means of saying, well, we're ready to talk, we'll talk to you on Thursday. We're ready to talk, we'll give you our response in a week. Every week that they can stall, they are continuing the constant acceleration of the uranium and enriching it to weapons-grade status. In 2009, they say it's 5%. In 2010, they're admitting that they're doing more. In 2011, they say it's going up to 20%. Now, the Israelis are very aware of this. This is not something that started a year or two ago. The Israelis have been talking about this mildly for many, many years. Slowly, as they saw that Iran was promising to wipe Israel off the map, the Israelis became very pronounced. And finally, the Israelis said, look, this is as existential to us as the Cuban Missile Crisis was to put nuclear weapons 90 miles away. Now, the nuclear weapons and the other high explosive weapons, doesn't have to be nuclear, that the Iranians control can be used against Israel, the oil producers, and American and Western facilities. Let's talk about that. Well, there are thousands of Americans in Baghdad, in the Green Zone. Right now, there are thousands of Americans in facilities across the Middle East. If they want to stop the oil going through the Strait of Hormuz, it wouldn't just take closing a 2-mile wide in each direction sea lane called the Strait of Hormuz. It would also involve taking out the Abqaiq desulfurization facility in eastern Saudi Arabia and the Ras Tanura terminal. If they do that, then 40% of the world's seaborne oil and approximately 10% of the American supply and 20% of the global supply will suddenly cease. And they can do this at a moment's notice. They've already notified Britain and France that they're going to cease to give this to give them oil. We've already clamped down on their financial transactions, and something has happened now that's very different. In the last few weeks and days, both the European Union and the American Congress have adopted sanctions prohibiting transactions through SWIFT, SWIFT. That's the Systematic Worldwide international financial transaction system. That basically is like the FDIC code, the FDIC coding. That's like having a website and no IP address. That's like having a phone and no phone number. There won't be any transactions. Even if they want to circumvent by selling oil to the Chinese and oil to the Indians, no one is going to come in with 25 bushels of rupees. They need a financial instrument. Even if they use the Turkish banks as runarounds, they still ultimately need to get that money into Iran. Without the SWIFT codes are the killer. So what's happening now is the Iranians are not backing down. They can't back down because they believe it's their religious calling. These are the same people who went to war in the 1980s with Iraq, carrying their caskets on their back. These are the people who kill their brethren, bomb their own mosques, slaughter their own people for religious and political purposes every hour of every day. Look what they're doing in Homs. Look what they're doing in Syria. Look what they did in Libya. It is easy for them to say, well, if we can kill off the Jewish people and in the process lose 1 million people, 1 million Arabs, it's a good trade. In fact, when the Arabs threatened to exterminate Israel in 1948, in the first days of the Israel independence, they actually said, look, we've got, I believe they said it was 50 million Arabs, or whatever the term was, 5 million, 10 million, and they said, quote, if we lose 1 million, it's okay. It's worth it. Now, you and I can't lose 1 million, but the Arabs say that they are willing to lose 1 million. And so the mindset is completely different. The mindset during the Cold War was something called MAD, mutually assured destruction. We had a triad, which means that we could deliver nuclear weapons from land, sea, and air. We had Strategic Air Command in Omaha. We had our missile bases in Minot, North Dakota, and elsewhere, and we had, of course, our submarines, and we even had our doomsday bombers, which could work on autopilot. So there was no way that anyone could survive a first strike because our submarines could always get them back. That's mutually assured destruction. That works for the rational mind. It does not work for the irrational mind, the apocalyptic mind, that says it's God's will. So when Dempsey, chairman of the Joint Chiefs, says that we believe that Iran is a rational actor, you have to wonder what is going on. In addition, the information we're being fed about military capabilities is generally false. Let me explain. He who knows does not talk, and he who talks does not know. I already know plenty of things, and I'm not talking about it. I won't talk to your show about it. But he who knows does not talk. He who talks does not know. No one knows when the moment will come. It will come in a twinkling of an eye.
You've got to.
It's going to come soon.
What is
if
coming?
It comes.
What is coming soon?
Well, it's possible that an attack will come very, very soon. If it comes
from Israel, from Israel on Iran.
It could be either way. The Iranians have already promised preemption. The Iranians have said we will strike first. The Israelis are saying they will strike first. There could be a miscalculation. Now, if Israel can delay this by 15 minutes, by 15 weeks, by 15 months, they will do it. If they can take out another Iranian scientist, if they can sabotage more equipment in various.
Did they slow the process by taking out the Iranian scientists?
Pardon me?
Have they slowed any process by taking out the Iranian scientists?
Yes, they have. This matter has been slowed. They have taken out about 5 Iranian nuclear scientists. They have sabotaged the equipment. They have put the Stuxnet virus in there. A second virus was recently put in. But when you have a determined foe and you hit him in the stomach, he learns to get a stomach guard. When you hit him in the shin, he learns to get a shin guard.
Can Israel match Iran's firepower?
Can Israel match Iran's firepower?
Yes.
Israel has technology. They have will. They are fighting for their very existence.
But you didn't answer my question.
Handle it.
Can they
match? It's not a matter of firepower.
It
isn't a matter of how many guns you have versus how many guns I have.
Can they match their firepower?
It's not a matter of firepower. It's not a matter of how many bombs you have and how many bombs we have. It's how the bombs are used.
Who's better at the strategic side?
That's Israel.
Israel is.
Yes.
You know, listen, we've got to get to your book, but this conversation, the conversation about the Middle East is fascinating.
I remember the time we were on your TV show, and some guy came in there and said, "Well, we got to drill." That is not the answer. The answer is to get off of oil, so that we are not subjected.
Israel's positioning for attacking Iran has nothing to do with oil. It has to do with survival, their very existence, as you said. Edwin Blight is the award-winning New York Times best-selling and international investigative author of 80 award-winning editions in 14 languages in 65 countries. We're streaming live, www.livestraw.com//Armstrong Williams. We'll be back.
For more information on the Armstrong Williams Show, please visit our new website at www.rightsidewire.com. There you can find his syndicated column archive, view live streams, and get your favorite conservative pundits' views on the current issues affecting the American people. From building wealth to foreign policy, stay connected with Armstrong Williams and his colleagues at the all-new www.rightsidewire.com.
Does your school, team, church, or charity need a new fundraiser? Do you need to work out of your home or part-time? Are you a small business that can use an additional revenue stream? Then you need Yellow Llama. Do you need affordable web services or tools to enhance your existing business? Are you a graphic artist who wants to create a revenue stream with your art but not get ripped off? Then go to www.yellowllama.com.
Anderson Brothers Bank, a family-owned and operated establishment that blends traditional personal service, local market awareness, and advanced technology to meet the financial needs of its customers. Visit abbank.com or call 843-464-6271 to see how they can assist you with your banking needs. Anderson Brothers Bank, celebrating 75 years of community banking, the way it should be. Stability right in your backyard since 1933.
Most Americans simply have never been taught the basics of money management, let alone how to secure their financial future. But there is hope. Financial Education and Literacy Advisors, also known as FELA, does what others don't. FELA teaches financial education. If you'd like more information about providing a financial wellness program for your employees, or a credit-bearing college course in personal finance, or other valuable programs, please visit myfela.com. That's myfela.com, or send an email to info@myfela.com.
Hi, this is Armstrong Williams with an opportunity to own a piece of paradise in Nassau, Bahamas. Spectacular land prices, 8,000 square feet, 20,000 square feet lot, affordable prices, hilltop properties with views of the magnificent sea. Just call 242-677-3120 or 3121 or go to info@rightsidewire.com and leave your information.
Where heads of state, sports, entertainment, and political celebrities meet. You're listening to Armstrong Williams.
You know, anyone listening to this show who has any kind of a modicum of common sense can understand that Israel has no choice but to defend herself or at least preempt the destruction from happening.
Well, the reason that Israel can get it done is because they're not going to try it to fail, and they're not permitted to fail. Because the Jewish people going out of existence was tried once, and they're not going to let it happen again. John McCain said, no second Holocaust. I remember being at the Detroit Holocaust Museum numerous years ago, and I said oil is connected to the Holocaust back in World War II and today. No one understood me then, but everyone understands me now. And I guess that brings us to the fact that on Sunday, I will have the live global streamed launch of the expanded edition of IBM and the Holocaust. The website for that is ibmandtheholocaust.com, and it's on Sunday, February 26th at 3 p.m., coming to you from Yeshiva University in New York, sponsored by the American Association of Jewish Lawyers and Jurists, and about 10 other organizations, from History Network News to Scholars for Peace in the Middle East. And although people probably know that about 10 years ago, I published a book called IBM and the Holocaust, which appeared in 40 countries in 9 languages on one given day in February, at the simultaneous moment adjusted for time zone, that conclusively proved that IBM, under the micromanagement of its president, Thomas J. Watson, co-planned and co-organized all 6 phases of the Holocaust, meaning the identification of the Jews, their expulsion from society, the confiscation of their assets, the ghettoization of the Jews, the deportation, and even the extermination of the Jews. In fact, the Auschwitz number, the tattoo that we all know about, began its life as an IBM number, although it quickly turned into a chaotic system of numbering variants. IBM has never denied any of this. We have recently, at the end of last year, sold out 1.2 million copies. Information about this can also be found at edwinblack.com. And we decided that it was easy to blur the evidence, as explicit as it was, in the text of a 600-page book with small type. So what we would do is we would publish 32 pages of my 20,000 documents of never-before released internal company correspondence, the State Department and Justice Department memos, photographs, concentration camp materials from the period, conclusively proving that IBM consciously organized the Holocaust for the Nazis, and this is all going to be released on Sunday at 3 p.m. in a live global streamed event, and we'll be able to take questions from any listener anywhere on the planet. They can give the questions, and I'll attempt to answer it in the time that I have through this live globally streamed event.
Do you think today's IBM should be held responsible?
Well, IBM will never be held responsible. They were not held accountable during the Holocaust. They were not held accountable during the judgments after the Holocaust, and they won't be held accountable today.
Why?
Why? Because they're too big, can spend too much money to influence politicians and statesmen and organizations, and they cannot stop me from exposing the truth, because I have the documentation. When you accuse a major Fortune 500 company like IBM of complicity in mass murder, genocide, you specifically accuse the company of consciously engaging in mass murder. That company should have a duty to say, no, we didn't. But it does not do that. And the reason it has remained silent is because I have the documents. And the documents that I've had in my basement all these years, some of the most incriminating ones, are being published in the new edition, the expanded edition of IBM and the Holocaust, which conclusively proves that Thomas J. Watson was guilty of genocide under the international laws of genocide. And one of the reasons I did this is because at the 100th year anniversary of IBM, there was a movement to revise history and claim he was just a nice guy and invent a supercomputer to talk on Jeopardy and to answer questions. Thomas J. Watson was a war criminal.
Have you ever felt threatened?
No. I haven't felt threatened because naturally I take the managed risk, whether I'm working on the Klan or working on a multinational corporation, whether it's Rockefeller, Carnegie, Ford, GM, Honda, the hate groups in the Middle East, any of that kind of stuff. I stick to verifiable information, and the last people I'm going to feel threatened by is a bunch of guys in golf shirts. The IBM people have made a mistake. Unlike Ford and GM, which have acknowledged their involvement with the Third Reich and apologized for it, IBM continues to handcuff itself to its own genocide of the Jews and of millions of others in Europe and Americans in World War II. It continues to handcuff itself by stifling the information, by changing the information, by pretending they don't have the information, and by refusing to discuss or apologize for it. Now, for instance, their people, their surrogates and their advocates are all over the internet and Wikipedia erasing this information or changing the information. For instance, using the word World War II instead of the Holocaust. World War II and the Holocaust are two different things. They say, well, gee willikers, Watson didn't know. They like to talk about the fact that Watson got a special medal from Adolf Hitler for special service to the Third Reich, but he gave it back in 1940 during the bombing of Paris. Well, one of the things that these new documents show is they show that at the same time he was giving back that medal as a publicity stunt, he was secretly organizing the special IBM subsidiary in Holland that would get Anne Frank and 75% of all the other Jews in Holland and make sure that they went to concentration camps where they were killed in gas chambers. In fact, all of these subsidiaries that were put out throughout Europe, they generally were named after their founder, Thomas J. Watson. For instance, the subsidiary established in 1939 to organize the rape of Poland was called Watson Business Machines. They worked on punch cards. There were no computers in those days. These are the little holes that are punched in a card. They stored the information, and IBM had the exclusive monopoly on punch cards throughout the world, and they invented information technology. Now, I can tell you that many of your listeners think they're living in the information age, and they falsely believe the information age was born in Silicon Valley. They don't know what the information age means, and they don't know that the information age was born in Berlin in 1933. And what is the information age? The information age is the individualization of statistics. And it is IBM that crossed the threshold, that jumped the gap, that moved us into warp speed, where we could not only count how many people were in a crowd, we could gather all the information we need about the people in the crowd. Who were they? What is their gender? How old are they? What is their address? What is their profession? What is their bank account number? All that was started by IBM for the Third Reich in 1933 because IBM was the solutions company. And they said to Adolf Hitler, what is the solution you would like? We will give it to you. And the first thing he said was, well, I cannot, I see all these Jews around here, and some of them are looking with the black hats and with the curls, and some of them look like regular bankers. And not all of them are going to synagogue. Some of them are converted. They're going to church.
Edwin,
they said, fine, we will take a racial census,
Edwin,
and we'll identify all the Jews by ancestry.
IBM and the Holocaust, we are out of time. There's strategic alliance between Nazi Germany and America's most powerful corporation. We must have you back when we can interact with our audience. Thank you for elevating our insights on oil dependency, on the crisis in the Middle East, and also the role that IBM played with the extermination of Jews. Where can someone go out and buy the book?
They can buy the book anywhere in the world.
I like that answer.
They can buy it at Barnes & Noble. They can buy it at Independent. They can buy it at college. They can buy it on Amazon.
Edwin?
Be sure to get the expanded edition.
They will get
edition.
it. Thank you for joining us. All the best.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. www.livestream.com/Armstrong Williams. Website, rightsidewire.com. Take care, everybody.
For more information on the Armstrong Williams Show, please visit our new website at www.rightsidewire.com. There you can find his syndicated column archive, view live streams, and get your favorite conservative pundits' views on the current issues affecting the American people. From building wealth to foreign policy, stay connected with Armstrong Williams and his colleagues at the all-new www.rightsidewire.com.
Join the millions of Americans who pursue one of our country's finest traditions, from hunting to sport shooting. Since 1871, the NRA has grown as a service organization involved in all aspects of shooting sports and is a proud defender of the Bill of Rights. Join today to begin taking advantage of exclusive membership offers and discounts, including up to $25,000 in insurance coverage. Contact the NRA today. Call 1-800-672-3888 or visit nra.org.
Hello, my name is Ron Moulton. I'm running as a Republican for the City Council in the nation's capital, a political arena dominated by the Democratic Party. I'm seeking office in Ward 7, overwhelmed by unemployment and poverty. For the first time in decades, we have an opportunity to be elected as the people that need the representation the most are now responding to the principles that will uplift them. For more information about my values and to donate, please visit www.ronmoulton.com.
Most Americans simply have never been taught the basics of money management, let alone how to secure their financial future. But there is hope. Financial Education and Literacy Advisors, also known as FELA, does what others don't. FELA teaches financial education. If you'd like more information about providing a financial wellness program for your employees, or a credit-bearing college course in personal finance, or other valuable programs, please visit myfela.com. That's myfela.com, or send an email to info@myfela.com.
Travelers along the road of life who have fallen asleep at the wheel, to the many who woke up in time to avert disaster and get back on the righteous path. For the ones who crashed and survived and now adhere vigilantly to a virtuous and righteous path. Finally, Armstrong Williams' much-anticipated new book, Reawakening Virtues, gives his insights into these daily challenges and much more. Reawakening Virtues is available in bookstores and at Amazon.com.
Does your school, team, church, or charity need a new fundraiser? Do you need to work out of your home or part-time? Are you a small business that can use an additional revenue stream? Then you need Yellow Llama. Do you need affordable web services or tools to enhance your existing business? Are you a graphic artist who wants to create a revenue stream with your art but not get ripped off? Then go to www.yellowllama.com.
Good God! I got to ask you, what we need? Soul food. Henry Soul Food. No, we need it. Soul Food. Henry Soul Food. No, I like it. Soul Food. Henry Soul Food. No, we need it. Soul Food. Henry Soul Food. Hit me.
Home of the sweet potato pie. Even the keenest taste buds will tell you the best food on the planet. Large enough to serve you and small enough to know you. So get the Henrys at 5431 Indian Head Highway, Oxon Hill, Maryland, or give us a call at 301-749-6856.
Soul food. Henry Soul Food. What we need? Soul food. Henry Soul Food.
I dare you to listen.
Hey, turn it up. Hey, Armstrong, get on the right side. Armstrong,
elevate your mind.
Armstrong.